My name is Logan Pierce. I'm 38, a detective in the small coastal town of Astoria, Oregon. I've been chasing liars and thieves for 15 years. You learn to read people, the twitches, the cracks in a story, the way their eyes slide sideways when they're hiding something. But for all that training, I missed it in my own home. And that's the thing that still burns the most. I met Sarah when I was 27. She was a teacher, bright, warm, with that kind of laugh that made you lean in closer. I just made detective. She just finished her master's. We clicked fast. Married within a year. We built a good life. Modest house near the bay. Vacations twice a year. Even talked about starting a family, though work kept getting in the way. For a long time, I thought we were solid. The first cracks came quiet. A new friend. Brandon. At first, just a name Sarah dropped over dinner. Some teacher from the next school over, coaching soccer. Then he was in more stories. Then he was texting her late. Then she was suddenly helping organize more and more school events, staying late, going out after with staff. I asked once carefully, "You two spend a lot of time together, huh?" She laughed it off. "He's just a friend. You of all people should trust me." That line stung, because trust was the one thing I always gave her without reserve. One night, after a 16-hour shift on a missing kid case, I came home dead on my feet. Sarah wasn't there. Her phone was on the counter. I was going to plug it in for her innocent automatic. And then a notification popped up. "Can't stop thinking about yesterday. You're all I want. Brandon." I stood there staring at that little rectangle of light like it was a bomb. Because it was. And it had just detonated my marriage. I'm not proud of what I did next, but you have to understand, I'd seen this dance 100 times with suspects. So I opened the phone. No password. Part of me still laughs at that. What I found made my stomach turn. Texts. Photos. Plans for the next work trip. The language wasn't vague. It wasn't flirty. It was raw. Desperate. Physical. And worse, there were voice notes. I listened. Her voice. "He's so checked out lately. He'd never handle this truth. When we're together, I feel alive again. I'll find a way to tell him after the holidays." After the holidays? How considerate. I closed the phone, sat at the kitchen table, stared at nothing for a long, long time. I could have confronted her then. But years in this job had taught me. You don't move until you have the full picture. So I waited. And I built my case. I pulled favors, quiet ones. Had a tech friend clone her phone data. Set a camera in the front hallway. One in the living room. And a mic under her car seat. She didn't notice. She was too deep in the glow of her little affair. Within 2 weeks, I had everything. Video of Brandon slipping in through the back door. Audio of them in our bed, the bed we picked out together. More texts. But that wasn't the worst part. No, the worst was discovering that her best friend, Aaron, had known all along. They joked about it in messages. "You're so bad. He has no idea. You deserve to be happy." That last one almost made me throw the phone across the room. Happy? At whose expense? But I didn't throw it. I sat with the fire in my chest until it burned cold. And then I knew. I wasn't going to just catch them. I was going to bury the lie they built, piece by piece. And Sarah was going to feel every fracture of her fake little world collapsing. I had the tools. I had the patience. I had the plan. And it started with an invitation. Sarah's birthday was coming up. Big dinner planned. Family, friends, coworkers, including Brandon. Including Aaron. Perfect. Because this year, her gift was going to be truth. Wrapped in glass and shrapnel. Sarah loves her birthday. Always has. She calls it her night. Friends, family, coworkers all dressed up, all there to tell her how bright and magnetic she is. Every year, she planned it herself and called it casual. Every year, it was anything but. This year was no different, except it would be. She spent 2 weeks planning dinner at the Beacon, one of the town's waterfront restaurants. Private room. Custom menu. I watched her buzz around the house making lists. Watched her text Brandon late at night about how fun it would be to have him there. Watched her text Aaron. He suspects nothing. It'll be the best night. She was right about one thing. It would be. The week before the party, I set my plan in motion. First, I reached out to an old friend, Jack Vickers, a local video editor who owed me a favor from an old case. I gave him everything. Texts. Audio. Footage. Told him exactly what I wanted. A clean, undeniable sequence, time-stamped, caption, not too long. "Think you can have this by Friday?" Jack grinned. "Hell yeah. I'm gonna make it sing." Next, I secured my delivery system. The Beacon had a nice setup in their private room. Projector, big screen, great sound. Sarah had booked it for a photo slideshow of the past year. She asked me to bring the final file. I agreed, smiling. I'll make sure it's memorable. She kissed me on the cheek. I love you. I almost laughed in her face. The day of the party, I picked up the flash drive from Jack. He'd labeled it simply, "The Real Year." I tested it once at home. Perfect. Every frame clear. Every word unmistakable. Every betrayal laid bare. That afternoon, I got dressed for dinner, suit and tie, polished shoes. Sarah fluttered around the bedroom, slipping into a deep blue dress, smiling at herself in the mirror. "You look beautiful," I said. She turned, eyes shining. "You really think so?" "I know so." She beamed. We drove to the Beacon in near silence. I held her hand on the console. She thought it was affection. It was goodbye. The private room buzzed with people when we arrived. Sarah's parents, her sister, her teaching friends, and Brandon, smirking across the room in a tailored jacket. I looked right at him. He held my gaze, smug, unaware. Aaron hugged Sarah tight. "Best night ever, babe." It would be, just not for them. We mingled. We ate. Sarah opened gifts, glowing. Then came the moment. "Everyone, thank you for being here," she said, raising her glass. "Now, I want to share a little look back at the past year." She nodded at me. "Logan put it together. He's the best." I smiled. "Always happy to tell your story." I walked to the projector, inserted the drive, clicked play. It opened on a few happy photos. Parties, trips, her laughing. Soft piano music played. People smiled, relaxed. Then came the first text slide. "Can't stop thinking about yesterday. You're all I want. Brandon." Confused murmurs. Next. Audio. Sarah's voice. "When we're together, I feel alive again." Gasps. Sarah's voice again. "He suspects nothing. It'll be the best night." Now the video. Brandon entering our house. Her pulling him in for a kiss. Timestamp. 2 p.m. Tuesday. While I was at work. Silence. Then the room exploded. Sarah shot to her feet. "Stop it. Logan. Turn it off." I didn't. I let it run for one more clip. Her and Aaron on the phone. "Sarah. He's so easy to work. If he finds out, I'll just cry." Aaron. "He won't leave. You've got him wrapped." I paused the screen on that quote. Stepped to the front of the room. Voice steady. "I spent 15 years chasing liars. Looks like one was in my own home. To those of you who thought this was a love story, now you know the truth." I turned to Sarah. "Happy birthday." Then I walked out. Behind me, chaos. Her parents shouting. Friends in shock. Sarah sobbing. Brandon frozen. Aaron trying to backpedal. I didn't look back. I drove home. Sat on the porch with a drink. Breathing clean air for the first time in months. 1 hour later, the texts began. "Sarah, please come back. We can fix this. I didn't mean for it to happen. Please don't ruin me further." I read them once, then powered off my phone. Because this wasn't over. Public humiliation was only the first layer. Now it was time to take back everything she tried to steal from me, and leave her standing in the ashes. I slept like a stone that night. The mistake most people make when they get burned is thinking they need to scream to be heard. I'd learned long ago, in this town, in this job, that if you want the truth to stick, you let it speak for itself. And you make sure it lands where it hurts most. In the minds of those who matter. Sarah's life was already bleeding. Her social circle had collapsed. Parents humiliated. Job under review. But part of her was still fighting to spin it, to salvage some sympathy. I heard through a mutual friend that she'd been telling people, "It was a one-time mistake. Logan set me up. He manipulated everything." That last part made me grit my teeth. Manipulated? I hadn't put Brandon in her bed. I hadn't put those words in her mouth. All I'd done was let her truth breathe in public air. But if she wanted to keep spinning, I'd give her one last impossible spin. A full stop. I contacted Jack, my video editor friend, one more time. "I want a final cut," I told him. "Something I can release publicly." No malice. Just the timeline. Just facts. He nodded. Say no more. Within 3 days I had the file. Brief clips of key texts, with dates. Audio of her and Aaron. Video of Brandon arriving, timestamped. Clean, factual captions. Closing frame. Truth is not cruelty. It's clarity. Lies deserve the daylight. Simple. Undeniable. Unarguable. I uploaded it to a private YouTube link. Sent it to a short, selective list. The school board, again. Her faculty group chat. A few local parent groups where the spin had started. Mutual friends who deserved to know the truth. I didn't blast it everywhere. Didn't need to. Once truth hits the right veins, it travels faster than lies ever could. The reaction was swift. Within a day, the link had made its way back to her school administration. By the next, I got the text from my lawyer. She's been asked to resign. Voluntary, of course, to save face. But the result was the same. She was done. The text started again. This time panicked. Why are you doing this? Please stop. I can't take any more. You're destroying me. I didn't reply. Because here's the truth, I wasn't destroying her. She had lit the match. I'd simply refused to shield her from the fire. Meanwhile, Brandon had gone fully underground. Rumor was he'd left town. Good.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing experience, but we really need your support, namely a subscription to the channel, which can make it possible to hire a professional voice actor and make the best content for you.
His presence wasn't required for the final act. I kept moving forward. Filed for an expedited divorce on grounds of adultery. My lawyer had it sealed tight. House? Mine. Assets? Split heavily in my favor. Alimony? None. Because with proof of fault, her bargaining chips had all burned to ash. One night, I sat at the kitchen table, alone but calm. I opened the last letter she had sent. Logan, I know there's no fixing this. I know I failed you. I know you'll hate me forever. But please, I beg you, don't ruin what little I have left. I am so sorry. I read it once, then folded it shut. No response. Some wounds don't heal by dialogue. Some heal by distance. As weeks passed, the town chatter faded. New dramas replaced the old. But the core circle remembered. The ones who mattered, they knew the truth. That was enough. I didn't speak publicly beyond that one video. Didn't trash her. Didn't seek applause. I simply stood tall in the silence. And the absence of further noise? That spoke louder than any post could. Sarah resigned from the school. Last I heard, she moved 2 towns over, trying to rebuild. I wished her no harm. But I wished her memory of what she'd done and how it came crashing down to stay sharp. So that next time, maybe she'd think before playing with fire again. As for me, I took time. Focused on the house. On my work. On myself. Started writing again, not about her, but about lessons learned. One night, I wrote a line that stuck with me. Dignity is the weapon they can't disarm. And that's what I carried through the flames. There was one last thing I planned to do, not for vengeance. For peace. A small act. A personal one. And when it was done, this chapter would be closed forever. The weeks after Sarah's resignation passed quietly. Too quietly, almost. I kept expecting some new move, an attempt at a counterstory, some dramatic apology, a lawyer's letter. But none came. She was done. Fully. I'd left no space for spin, no angle to pivot from. Truth, when laid bare with precision, leaves no shadows to hide in. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding in the small ways that matter most. New locks on the doors. New furniture in the bedroom because no ghost should linger in the space where betrayal once thrived. I even repainted the house a fresh coat of slate blue. A clean, steady tone. It felt right. At work, things slowly settled. The guys at the station stopped with the sideways glances. The women stopped giving me those pitying eyes. I was just Logan again, the man who'd handled something hellish with his head high. And that reputation mattered more to me than anyone knew. But there was still that one final thing. I'd known it for weeks, but hadn't acted yet. Not out of hesitation, out of timing. Because timing matters when you're writing the true end of a story. Sarah still had things at the house. A box of old books. A few photos. Jewelry she hadn't dared claim since the night of the party. Her lawyer had asked if I wanted to arrange a pickup. I said no. Instead, I requested one meeting, public, brief. One exchange, one time. Closure isn't real if loose ends still dangle. We met at the pier, midday. Neutral ground. I brought the box. She arrived late, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. No makeup. Baggy clothes. Eyes ringed with exhaustion. The crowd of tourists around us moved in waves, oblivious. We stood apart, two actors on a stage with no script left. She looked at me. Voice soft. Logan, thank you for meeting me. I handed her the box. This is it. After today, no more contact. Her eyes shimmered. I know. I'm sorry. For everything. I didn't speak. Didn't need to. She looked down. You didn't have to spare me the worst. You could have destroyed me fully. I finally spoke. I didn't do this to destroy you. I did it so I could walk away clean. That's the difference between us. She nodded, tears slipping free. I'll never forget that. Or you. I turned. Goodbye, Sarah. And I walked away. Not triumphant. Not bitter. Just done. That night, I burned the last bridge. Literally. Took every printed message, every extra copy of the files, the USB drives. Lit them in my fire pit. Watched as the ashes swirled into the dark. One page curled slowly. You're all I want. Gone. Some say revenge is best served cold. They're wrong. It's best served clean. No lingering scraps. No scorched earth around you. Just a clear path forward. A few days later, I received my finalized divorce decree. Official. Stamped. Irrevocable. Freedom. I framed one thing and one thing only. A single quote from my journal. It hangs in my hallway now. Dignity is the weapon they can't disarm. Every day I pass it, I remember. That was what I kept when everything else tried to fall apart. Sarah faded from town life. Rumor was she'd left the area. Brandon? Gone even sooner. And Aaron, well, her ex-fiancé had moved on. Life had reordered itself. And me? I lived. Fuller, sharper, wiser. Started coaching at the youth center, teaching kids not just how to navigate life, but how to face it when it turns dark. Because if there's one thing I'd learned, the world doesn't care how badly you've been burned. It cares how you carry the scars. I carried mine with pride. And when the next storm comes, because life always brings another, I'll face it the same way I faced this one. Head high. Heart clean. And no damn fear. But one more chapter remains, not about them. About me. And the life I'm building next. Because real revenge is living better than they ever believed you could. A year has passed. Not a smooth year, no such thing after a betrayal that deep. But a year of building, not breaking. That's what matters. I'd stopped counting the weeks since the party. Stopped tracking Sarah's whereabouts. She was gone physically, from town, mentally from my life. Last I heard, she moved 3 hours south, living with an aunt, trying to reset. Good. That's where the pieces of her old life belong, somewhere else. As for me, I found rhythm again. Morning runs by the coast. Late shifts at the station. Evenings writing, not about the past, but about resilience. I've been asked twice now to give talks to cadets about handling stress, betrayal, and personal loss. And both times I said yes. Because the next generation deserves to know that scars don't define you, they sharpen you. And there was someone new. Slowly. Carefully. Her name was Claire, a marine biologist who worked at the nearby research center. We met through a friend. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became long walks. She wasn't in a rush to be the next chapter in anyone's story, and that's what drew me most. No performance. No games. Just a woman who knew herself and respected honesty. One evening, we sat on my rebuilt porch, watching the last of the sunset. She asked gently, if you could go back and change how you handled it, would you? I thought about it. No. Not a single frame. Not a single word. She smiled. Then you did it right? And I believed her. The framed quote still hangs in my hallway. Dignity is the weapon they can't disarm. It isn't there as a taunt. It's there as a reminder. You can lose love. You can lose trust. You can lose the life you thought was stable. But if you keep your dignity, you've won more than they can ever take. Some nights, the town feels smaller, as if everyone still remembers. But I walk with ease now. Not because people forgot, they didn't. But because I'm not defined by what she did anymore. I'm defined by how I stood after the fire. Sarah never contacted me again. Not after that last peer exchange. I think she knew some doors can't be reopened. Some betrayals can't be undone with letters or tears. And that's fine. Because this isn't about bitterness anymore. It's about peace. Real, earned, quiet peace. One final note. A few months back, I ran into Sarah's old colleague, a teacher who had stayed friendly through the storm. She looked at me across the coffee shop and said, "You know, most people would have destroyed themselves trying to destroy her. You didn't. You just stood tall." I nodded. There's more power in standing than swinging. She smiled. Glad you know that. Some of us learned a lot watching how you handled it. That was the real reward. Not humiliation. Not revenge. Example. Because in a world that too often rewards cruelty, sometimes dignity is the most powerful play of all. Yeah? I live. I run. I love carefully, openly. I laugh more freely than I have in years. And every night when I lock my door, I know one thing beyond doubt. I am not who they thought I'd be when they betrayed me. I am stronger, cleaner, unbreakable. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge is being so at peace that they have to live knowing they'll never touch that peace again. And me? I'll keep walking forward, with dignity as my armor, and a life finally my own. For the first time in months, my body wasn't braced for the next blow. I woke to a dozen missed calls. Sarah, Erin, even her sister, and one from Brandon blocked. Now, my inbox was full of damage control. We can talk. You didn't have to do this. We were trying to be careful. Please think about the fallout. That last one made me laugh out loud. Fallout? They hadn't given a damn about fallout when they were rolling in my bed. Now they could choke on it. By noon, the story was everywhere. One of Sarah's co-workers had recorded the whole projection on their phone. It was already circulating on local social media circles. Birthday party betrayal. Hometown scandal. Small towns eat this kind of drama alive. At the station, a few fellow detectives pulled me aside. Man, that was ice cold. She deserved every frame. You holding up? I was, because this was just step one. Sarah's professional world was next. She taught at a well-respected middle school. Her public image mattered. Trusted, wholesome, a mentor. So I sent a private package, the same video file clipped to the cleanest, least explicit proof, to the school board and principal. No threats, no comments, just the truth. For your awareness, given the public nature of recent events, professional courtesy. Meanwhile, Erin's life started to fray. Her fiancé, a local realtor, had seen the clip. A mutual friend texted me 2 days later. Erin's engagement is off. He packed his stuff and left. Good. No one shields a cheater without dirty hands of their own. Sarah kept trying. First texts, then emails, then a handwritten letter, left in my mailbox. Logan, I am so sorry. I've made the worst mistake of my life. I don't expect forgiveness, but please talk to me. I can't breathe without you. Everything is falling apart. She was right. It was. And I wasn't lifting a finger to stop it. I focused on securing my life. Moved funds into a private account. Filed for a fault-based divorce with full evidence attached. My lawyer grinned. She's got no leg to stand on. You'll come out of this clean. That mattered more than revenge. It was about control, taking back what was mine. Brandon, meanwhile, was getting roasted in his own world. I didn't have to lift a finger. Parents at his school demanded answers. Complaints rolled in. His contract was under review within a week. One call from an old contact confirmed it. He's on leave. Won't be back. 2 lives unraveling by the force of their own choices. I kept my head down in public. Didn't comment online. Didn't fuel the fire. The more silent you stay, the more damning their screams sound. 1 week after the party, I got the first in-person knock. It was Sarah. Pale, eyes swollen, hair unkempt. A shell of the woman who'd stood beaming at her birthday dinner. I didn't invite her in. Spoke through the door. What do you want? Her voice broke. Please, I just need to talk. I need you to know. It wasn't about love. It was stupid. I was lonely. I didn't think you'd care anymore. I almost laughed again. Lonely? You had me. And you had lies. She started crying harder. I'll do anything. Just don't leave me like this. I looked her in the eye, flat and cold. You left me the first time you let him in this house. Then I closed the door. The texts kept coming. They're freezing me out at work. My parents are ashamed. I can't go anywhere. Please, Logan, help me stop this. But I didn't, because that was the final part of my revenge. No rescue. She'd built this fire. Now she'd burn in it alone. Meanwhile, my life? I moved forward. Filed for full ownership of the house. Started shifting my routine, gym, long runs, writing again. Every day without her felt cleaner. Sharper. I could breathe again. Then one last twist landed. A message from her best friend's ex-fiancé, the realtor. Man, I saw the video. I saw what Aaron said too. Thank you. You saved me from marrying a liar. I replied simply, glad you know now. Walk free. Because in the end, that was what all of us deserved, truth and freedom. Sarah chose lies. Brandon chose secrecy. Aaron chose complicity. And now, they had only each other's wreckage left. But I wasn't done yet. There was one more move, one final message I had to send. Not to them. To everyone who needed to see that dignity wins where deceit cannot. And soon they would.
What do you think of the story? Write in the comments.